Is it a challenge for you to play your low notes on your saxophone, whether you play soprano, alto, tenor, or baritone? If you can relate to that, leave us a comment below as to why it's a challenge for you. Now, as far as I can remember, I've always been terrified of heights, and so I have not gone bungee jumping, paragliding, nor skydiving. When the world crisis is somewhat under control, I'll take myself up on that one. Speaking of fear, one time I went on the roof of an unfinished house while I was in Jamaica. This was only the second floor of that unfinished house top that I went on. And I got up there by walking on a thick piece of wooden plank that the site workers used to wheelbarrow materials that they were using to build this house. It took little effort to get up there, but more than a half an hour to get down. So if you can picture this house, it was perched on the side of a hill with a fantastic view. And you would be able to look straight into the big blue Caribbean Sea. That's how beautiful the view was. Now, part of the challenge I faced in coming down was that of ignoring, avoiding, suppressing, and denying my fear of heights. And later on, I learned that one overcomes their fear by accepting that which you are fearful of. The funny thing was that no one was there to help me get off the top of that roof. And the only way down was to jump off with the possibility of breaking a limb, or by simply walking off on the same plank I got up there on. Might I add, this was like early days in my marriage to my wife, and I was so terrified and gripped by fear that I considered calling her and asking her to send someone to help me to get down. On one hand, I thought of my little ego being hurt. Then on the other hand, I thought, what if this was something of a greater magnitude? How would I possibly handle that? By the way, I'm Adrian Thomas, the Sax Savvy Coach, bringing you the best practice tips, tools, and ideas to help you as a beginner saxophone player develop the practice habits and routines to master your saxophone faster. My purpose is to serve, motivate, and to inspire you. So when it came to playing low notes on my saxophone, it was no different from that house top experience that I had. Because for a long time, I was never able to play my low notes because I avoided them, I denied them, I suppressed them, and I ignored them. I was afraid of squeaking, and that made my approach the more futile. One thing to note, however, is that squeaking is inevitable when it comes to playing low notes as a beginner. If you ask any pro saxophone player, they will tell you that they had to go through the pain of overcoming that hurdle themselves. Because playing low notes fluidly and without squeaking comes as a result of facing them, challenging yourself to play them, and practicing them consistently. So, have you ever noticed how roads are built to get to the top of a mountain or to the bottom of it? It's winding, right? It's going round and round and round because you can't just go straight ahead, especially if you're driving. Sometimes you have to slur down to the low notes before you can hit them head on or before you can nail them directly. One thing for sure is that you have to practice them. You can do this by using exercises that get you to play your low notes. For example, you can use triads. Let's take the E flat major triad. So instead of playing in one octave or just the root position, you could go to the second inversion below the root position. So for example, B flat, E flat, and G, and then over the entire range going from your low note. Or you could play E major triad, and that will get you to use up your low B going over the full range. And your F major triad will get you to use your low C. F sharp major triad will get you to use your low C sharp. You can check out this playlist in the cards right here and in the description below on triads, and in those videos you will see me demonstrating what I just mentioned to you. Now, low notes take more air. That's a fact. It's not a set it and forget it. Fluidity is usually built by visiting them every day, pretty much. So to become fluid at playing your low notes, you need to have at least one technical exercise that you include in your daily practice, or a piece of music that is going to guarantee that you play your low notes. So the way that I eventually got off that rooftop that I mentioned earlier was to face my fear and to drag myself on my behind on that piece of plank until I was able to get off. What mattered in the end was that I got down and went home feeling happy that I did not break any bones. So in order to play my low notes, I stopped ignoring and avoiding them. Instead, what I did was to face them. And to be honest, it wasn't easy. You know, sometimes tears came out of my eyes because I just couldn't play those low notes. But then I practiced them over and over on a daily basis. And as I did that, the process got easier. So don't wish and don't hope to play your low notes. Stop wishing and stop hoping, because that's useless if that's all you're doing. Practicing your low notes for even 5 minutes a day is way more useful than prolonged periods of time wishing and hoping you could play them. You can do it, Saxo friend, and you will be able to play those low notes if you continue to push, play until something happens. Peace.